Hey, everybody, it's Sterling and Linda, your
Good
favorite
morning.
time. We almost weren't, it's actually, we normally do at 10 a.m., but it's 11 a.m. because my camera didn't work and I hadn't tried to use this computer since the fires. And my son had taken the hard drive out of the computer, but he put it back in. But somehow in the jiggling of it, it disconnected the cable in the back. We didn't know that. So I was in it. I was getting ready to drive to Best Buy to buy a new camera and putting Sterling on hold. But as I hit the road, my other son, who's very good with computers, called and said, it was just a connection in the back. I said, thank you. But I went ahead and ordered a new camera because this camera sometimes fades in and out. So it don't hurt to have another camera. Anyway, hello, Sterling.
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
You had a little housekeeping things to talk about?
Yeah, a couple quick little things. I think three quick items. I think since we did the last show, I know we predicted for months that the New York Times would be releasing Trump's financial records and his tax records. And so I think right after we did the last show or thereabouts, that release did come out. So happy that took place.
Because
The other thing
a
is
couple
that
of people say comment, so where's the New York Times?
they did. I think my wife was mentioning a few people comment, is
Yeah.
it still happening, the New York Times? And because I think we started talking about it 4 or 5 months ago. Even.
Right.
So
Well, I've been saying that it's going to be released, but I
Right.
would myself, I doubt you would find a portion that says, I said the New York Times. You probably pinpointed it more directly because I would not have thought of the New York Times.
Yeah, and my guides were pretty adamant about the New York Times and kind of just prior to the election. So they're very clear about that. So it's kind of what we have. The second thing is, I think you're 200 subscribers away from the next level. So I think you're 37,800 subscribers.
Right.
So at the next level at 38,000, we'll pick another winner of the half-hour reading
But
session.
next Sunday.
Oh, I think without a doubt, you'll be up there. So everybody that puts comments in this show that starts off with the word love, we know they want to be entered, and then we'll certainly pick the winner from those people. Yeah.
Right.
And just the third quick thing, the Newbridge radio show that I did, I pre-recorded it. It'll be played back on Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, on Tuesday, October 6th. So that's there.
So listen, I'll put it, you guys, below, including how you can make an appointment with Sterling. Sterling, can you do me a huge favor? Can you send me your link via my email so I can get it on this computer? It's easy to transfer over there.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so here we go, you guys. And thank you guys for your questions. From the other side, does Dwight D. Eisenhower have a message for us?
He does, and this is no accident because he came through 3 times this week. So I asked Daniel and my Linda to kind of put in the questions, but it was kind of interesting. As I said, 3 times he kept coming through, and I didn't really get it. But then, kind of on the 3rd time, the reason he came through was he was describing the situation that Biden's going to face when he becomes president, and very similar to the things.
The dog's barking.
I see one of your guides. It looks like a dog.
Sorry.
But he was describing the multitude of things that Biden was going to face that he faced. So there was racial injustice, there was the end of McCarthyism, which is kind of a big thing over our government, and there's a number of things like that. And the biggest thing was his effect on the 25th Amendment. So Nixon was his vice president, and the 25th Amendment at that time more applied to presidents that died in a transition of power. But Eisenhower, he had a heart attack. And so he actually wrote a letter to Nixon saying, look, if I become incapacitated for any reason, but I'm not dead, here's how you transfer power. Now, I think that this is all going to come up. I think, there's a lot going on now with the White House. So we'll talk about it on the show, I'm sure. But those are the reasons that Dwight Eisenhower wanted to come up and say a few things that kind of be aware, because a lot of things I face, Biden's going to face, and also the 25th Amendment issue.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, here's that. 1 second. Okay, did the first debate hurt Trump or help him?
So in many ways, the first debate, it portrayed him as being unhinged. And so being unhinged looks a little more, even more unstable than he has been. And because of that, saw a lot of the GOP kind of separating from many GOP members saying this guy's now too unhinged to kind of go forward. So, I mean, what I'm getting is it hurt him in the long run. And I think then the other thing was obviously the comment they made regarding the white supremacists, the Proud Boys. That kind of was another nail in the coffin, so to speak. So,
Right,
yeah.
right. And this morning, I'm sure you saw it, but Trump is at 39 and Biden is at 53. Okay. Has 45, wait, sorry. When will we be able to travel through a transporter like Star Trek instead of on an airplane? That'll be cool.
Delta and American, they'll be the first ones to do it, I'm sure. For me, what I'm getting is that, that's easily right now still like 100 years in the future. But the reason it's so far in the future is it's a whole merging of science and technology around biology and electromagnetics. And, there are a lot of things that have to come together to make that happen. It'll eventually get there, but it's like 100 years out. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So we won't be alive for that.
I don't think so.
Well, we'll be alive, but in a different capacity. Has
Right.
45 compromised our national security with his debt and tax evasions?
He has, because what it's done is, and this is a very basic principle, it's put him into great financial debt and financial liability. So when, the same reason when you go get a top secret clearance with the government, they want to know that your taxes are paid and you're not, because if you're in a financially compromised position, you're going to do things. And so Trump he's done things internationally to benefit him because of the tax situation.
Right.
Liabilities, yeah.
Do pets have a life review?
They do, but it's a very short one. You know why? Because pets are down here to help us rather than as a school. So, they certainly learn a few lessons while they're down here, but they're down here to help us primarily. So they have a very short life review.
I mentioned this on the Bridge Radio interview I did, but there is a show called Paranormal Caught on Tape on the Travel Channel. Okay. About 3 episodes ago, they had a woman's front camera. A deer got hurt. You can see, you don't see it get hit, but you see it on the ground. You see it attempt to get up, and then it goes back down, and you can literally see the spirit of that deer coming out of the body.
Yeah.
In the form of a deer.
Yeah, absolutely.
But instead of being a bright light, it was more of a brownish color.
Yeah, well, it's a wonderful experience. Whoever experienced that caught on tape. It's
caught on tape. I should find it on YouTube. Anyway, Mitch McConnell has put so much focus on loading the court system with conservatives. Will this move pay off in the future the way he thinks it will?
No, fortunately not, because when the complete Congress, the Senate and House, come back to Democratic rule, they're actually going to be able to restore the balance in the court. So whatever he's done is short term, and when we get into the next presidency, the balance will be put back in the court.
Okay. Will the U.S. have their version of Nuremberg trials 2021-22?
Yeah, and I assume that reference is because of everything going on in the Trump White House. So I get the answer pretty clear. That is no, because those Nuremberg trials were more involving the military. And so it's not going to be a lot of court cases, but it's not going to be taken through the military court.
Right. Forgot to turn my phone off. Sorry, you guys.
I was going to say, and I hear one of your spirits.
Yeah. Hold on. What? All right. So, sorry, you guys. We went for a quick break because my phone turned on back there. Okay. So what I was going to say is, I know people want to get Donald Trump for causing all those deaths, for just saying it's a nothing burger. It's a Democratic hoax. I just don't see them being able to do it.
No, it's a lot going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. Does the phenomenon of imaginary friends in some young children have a spiritual basis?
Absolutely. And because yeah, when you come into this world, most every child is born. I kind of call it like you have psychic mediumship abilities when you come in this world, and then you kind of grow out of it. And so that's why a lot of our young children, prior to the age of like 5 years old, can talk to grandparents that passed away, and they see parents, that kind of a thing. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. Will the hypnosis ever be more mainstream to help with addiction and depression?
And, you know, it already is, but I guess the question is kind of, will it become more mainstream? So like, will like UCLA prescribe, you know, hypnosis, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the answer, what I'm getting is definitely yes, that it's going to increase in popularity. You know, the medical communities are using hypnosis for addiction. Absolutely, yeah.
I know that I can't be hypnotized. I just can't be. I've gone to all kinds of famous ones. I don't know
Same
what.
with me. Yeah, same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Does everyone on the other side have access to the Akashic records? Akashic records.
Yeah, the Akashic records. Yeah, so the Akashic records is obviously, I mean, it contains all human thought and events and everything past, present, and future. So it's a huge uh, collection of information. The real answer is that most people don't have access to the complete compendium, if you will, of all the information. A lot of it only part that their life was involved in. So it's not all world events and not all world feelings, past, present, and future. Yet people don't have access to all that.
You know what's weird is that I read the deceased and those on the other side, some people who were very interested in world events tell their loved ones how excited they are because they can see the records.
Right, right.
They
You
can
have
see
access
it.
to a part of the records, but it's like having access to the entire Library of Congress when you pass on, and it doesn't happen to everybody, you know.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay, will we be able to clean up our oceans?
Yeah, given time, you know, there's yeah, I mean, so for me, it feels to me like no less than 20 years into the future, we're going to have some great biotechnology that will help clean up the oceans. And it's not just even robotic technology, but kind of biological technology and organisms will help clean the ocean. And so I
Right.
think that's within like 20 years. Yeah.
Is it possible to witness and feel heaven, for lack of a better word, while living, even if only for a moment?
The quality's questions are getting very good, aren't
Aren't
they?
they very
Yeah,
intelligent? We got very
they are.
intelligent
They
clients.
are. Yeah, you know, the best way to answer that is for most people, the answer is no, unless you go through a near-death experience
Right,
or an NDE. And an NDE is probably the closest you're going to get to experiencing what heaven's all about
right.
on Earth. Yeah.
Because we're in human form. It's totally different over
Right.
there.
Right.
Can spirit move objects like lost keys that appear in a room where no one has gone into? If so, how does that happen?
So all spirits have access to energy because when you pass on, it's all about the energy field.
Mhm.
So you can affect things. So much the same way magnetism can move objects. That's a kind of energy. So when you're on the other side, depending on the skill you develop, you can absolutely use forms of energy to move objects and to mess with lights and all sorts of things. So yeah, the answer is yes to that. Yeah.
And also, those who are stuck on the earth, spirits, so to speak,
Mhm.
ghosts, they do that.
Right.
Will tourists travel to the moon within the next 20 years?
Yes, absolutely. And you know, there's a lot of good efforts in play on that. Even like Richard Branson with Virgin Galactic, right? And even Jeff Bezos has got some things he's doing.
Right.
Absolutely. But I think the one cautionary point there is probably more billionaires that will be going to the moon as tourists initially. So I
Yeah,
think within
because it's
20
going to be
years,
really expensive.
a lot of billionaires will be going, and then it'll come down. Yeah.
Is 45 really sick with COVID, or is this a fake sickness to avoid prosecution?
Well, that's a whole show in itself. Yeah. You know, I did speak with my guides this week about this, as I'm sure you did too, but I'll tell you what I got. There's this is the beginning of kind of a grand corruption and almost like what I'll call the grand illusion. In words of maybe the old Styx song, the grand illusion. So there's sickness going on in the White House, but this is an opportunistic play to figure out in the short run game is to figure out how Trump can get pardoned. So remember we talked about, Dwight D. Eisenhower in the beginning and how he wrote that letter to Nixon saying, if anything happens to me, here's how you have to kind of transition the power. And I do believe, I get from my guides, is that Trump right now is in kind of a mode where he's trying to figure out this might be the opportunity of all time to transition power, even temporarily, to Pence to get pardoned. So I don't believe that he has the full-blown COVID-19. And I think there's just a lot of speculation around maybe what he does have, if he's got some heart issues or something. So I think this is the beginning of a lot of corruption. So long way of answering, I don't necessarily from my guides that he has full-blown COVID-19, but he does have kind of the opportunity to move forward to try to get a pardon.
And so his wife's taking it too? And all those senators too?
No, so I think there's a few. I mean, Hope Hicks, I believe Hope Hicks has it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like maybe even Chris Christie. Christie has it. He's checked himself in the hospital in advance.
Right.
But it appears that it's a collective, it's collective corruption to try to figure out how to kind of navigate to a pardon.
Okay, because it's not helping him in his polls if he was thinking of that. Because
No,
Fox News had to explain what COVID was because they were so busy calling it fake news.
Oh yeah.
But okay, well that's where you and I differ. That's where you and I differ. So we'll see, you guys. We're putting it out there. You heard his vision. You know my vision.
And the quote from my guys was the beginning of the grand illusion. Is what
I think it's the beginning of him being really sick. I think he's sick.
Yeah, I guess the qualifier is it COVID-19 or something else. So is it heart issues or something? Yeah.
What will they figure out? What and those doctors are so busy trying to act like the guy even said, the doctor today, he didn't tell us the truth about him needing oxygen because he didn't want to worry us. Just like Trump didn't tell us about the virus because he didn't want to. We're not worried. We're glad to hear he can't breathe. Oh, did I say that? Sorry.
By the way, I think they quoted a news report that Trump now has gone through 28,000 lies in his presidency. So why would this not be, another one?
Well, because he's so busy calling it a hoax. This is the only reason I think. He's so busy calling it a bunch of that going to the hospital and stuff wasn't, he's upset about that. Remember, he fought them tooth and nail going into that hospital. So it's like, and to commit this kind of thing, maybe he is talking about it now while he's in the hospital, but I could see if he was home in Mar-a-Lago and pulled a scam, but doing it with everybody as a witness, so I don't know. We'll see. Will they figure out what causes pancreatic cancer?
Yes, I think the first thing that's going to happen there is they're going to figure out what the triggers are. So they'll figure out what the triggers are to be able to stop it. And then the next phase, again, this is a couple of decades out. But once they figure out the triggers, then they'll figure out how to cure it if you have it. Okay. So that's a couple of decades out for the whole process.
It is such a killer. Rarely do you meet someone who lived through pancreatic cancer.
I have a close friend.
You have a close friend that died from it?
I have a close friend that I think they say 8% make it, something like that.
He made it?
And he was in the 8% that made it. Yeah.
Did they catch him?
Interesting story. I was driving home with them from the NAMM show, which is a music industry show years ago. We're driving home in the car, and I said, I just got to tell you, there's something going on your side. Have you got some pain on your side? Something going on there? He said, well, no, I'm not really sure. We went to the doctor the following week, and they caught in the early stages. So it happened on a drive home.
Life.
Well, we didn't know it at the time, but yeah, everything.
No, but Spirit told you, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I didn't know at the time it was pancreatic cancer. I just felt something wrong on his side. So, yeah.
That is so weird. I don't get hits like that all the time when I'm with friends. I normally am in my own ego chit-chatting.
I love it.
Will they figure out, okay, in the future, will plastics be used for fuel? That's interesting. Will plastics be?
Yeah, faster than plastics will be what I'll call biofuel. So using forms of algae for fuel. That they've already started to do that, but there's going to be major advances here that we'll see in biofuel. So faster than plastics. At some point, way down the road, they'll figure out how to work on the formulation of plastic for fuel, but I really feel like biofuels are going to be way ahead of that. Yeah.
Okay. Will Pence pardon Trump?
I think that's part of what's being looked at behind the scenes. I do. I think that's what's going on now. I don't know if they'll be successful, but I think that's being considered.
Well, I'll tell you, I had that vision that they were in the debate,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, that's so weird you said that, because the vision I had, Biden and Trump had done the debate, which they have, which they think he was sick with COVID at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trump, when they ended, they were backstage, and Trump said to Pence and to Biden, okay, now we need to work on something for you guys to pardon me. Like, and it's almost like he was telling Biden, you know, your life will go so much easier if you pardon me. I can be a real pain if you don't.
Yeah, and you know, it would be very clean because you could pass over power to Pence for a very short time period, make the pardon, and then bring it back again, still run the election.
Whoa. Oh, that's so underhanded. Oh my God. That's so underhanded. And I never saw Trump doing the changing of the guards. I always saw Pence.
Right, right.
Are the voting machines rigged for 45 to win?
Voting machines definitely have malware in them, but the good news is that the same malware are significantly the same as we had in 2016 in the voting machines, and the FBI is aware of that malware.
So they can adjust it.
Yeah, what that malware does is it actually erases votes for the opposing party, so that the FBI is on top of that malware.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you. Is everyone born with psychic abilities?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we kind of touched on this. Most everybody that I've come across that I can see was born to this world with psychic and mediumship abilities. So it's like the third eye is completely open when you're born. And the first couple of years, yeah, you're aware of it, and then you kind of grow out of it. A lot of people will grow out of that ability, yeah. But you know, they'll see grandparents they've never met before and describe them to their parents. You know, so yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. Why does Congress keep voting for a stimulus package and the Senate does not? Has the Senate been told not to agree on a stimulus package?
Absolutely. What I get is that what's happening there is this is an opportunity for Trump to be able to come back and save the day. So he's actually telling the Senate, you know, drag your feet, and at the last minute to be able to come in and say, okay, now I approve it by an executive order. You guys couldn't get it done. I could get it done.
Oh, okay. Because remember, we kept thinking of September.
Well, you know, we saw the votes in September, and there was even one, I think, October 1st or something, or 2nd. They were voting.
I know Nancy was desperately trying with Munch
right.
and the other one.
And I know that went to, I think the Republicans raised the limit to 2.2 trillion. They doubled it, but they still couldn't get it over the wall. Yeah. So you're right. We saw voting in September and a payout in October. I still feel like there could be the payout in October, but you know, it may be because Trump says I'll do it. You know.
Okay. What is Mark Esper planning to do with the military on small island of Malta in the Mediterranean? I don't even know who he is.
Yeah. You know, this is that region in there, and Malta specifically has been a target of the U.S. for a long time, a lot of years, to try to get a foothold there, a U.S. foothold, so that they can then take action in that region of the world for illegal trafficking of oil and weapons. Mm-hmm. So what he's doing is this continuation, but I think they may almost be successful at getting the Maltese government to accept U.S. intervention and official location there in Malta, so that. But see, here's the interesting part: so that the U.S. can then get involved in intercepting illegal oil and illegal weapons. But now what happens to those illegal weapons?
Exactly.
Will be the next story. You know?
Who is Mark Esper?
So he is, you know, I forget his exact title. He's high up in the administration. I don't remember his exact title. It's in the defense. Sorry, I don't remember exactly what his title is, but I know he gets involved in a lot of these kinds of issues.
Okay.
State, yeah.
Google it, you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, well, 45 used the Supreme Court seat as a bargaining chip to walk away.
No, no, I don't get that. I think he feels that there's another way to kind of make that happen. So that's not a chip he's going to put on the table. No, I don't think that's going to happen. By
Okay.
the way, you and I, as a footnote on a prior show, we talked about RBG, and when RBG came through, and she made, for me, she was adamant about the 5 GOP senators and whatnot, kind of stalling the process. Well, it's interesting that it looks like some members of Congress, I guess they've got COVID-19, and that may slow down the confirmation process.
That's what I was thinking. And more could come out with it.
Right. And so I didn't, at the time, I didn't understand exactly why RBG was saying it's the 5. But it looks like if
It looks like it could be.
3 additional ones came down with COVID-19.
We have 4, right? 4 that are sick.
Yeah, I think so that may be how the 5 come about.
That's interesting. And the other thing I wanted,
it was still less than 5. Sorry, it was no less than 5. So it could be more than 5 that will stop the confirmation. Yeah.
well, I also wanted to mention that I don't know if you said this too, but I said that RBG had told me no, she wasn't going to cross until the new year.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it meant the new year on January, but she died the Jewish New Year.
Yeah, I know you and I both got that, and I remember that. Yeah, so always interpretation is always the critical factor. Yeah.
And if it wasn't for our clients, I wouldn't have even thought of it because I'm not Jewish.
Right.
But yeah. Okay. What happens to the soul once the soul lessons have survived or have been achieved?
For me, it's a continuation process, and so as the soul crosses over and then learns, comes back and learns, it's a continuation process. So I guess in my guides, I haven't really seen an end to that process. I guess eventually at some point it does end, but it keeps evolving. So for me, it keeps evolving. As spirits come down, they learn, they go back, they keep evolving. So I don't see an end to the process.
Okay. People are pulling their hair out now. What is the future? It's so funny when people say, that's it, I'm not coming back. And I'm thinking, you have no choice. What is the future of the coral reefs?
And so there are many around the world, right? So I guess there's no particular coral reef that's called out there, but many coral reefs. So what I do see over the next number of decades here, as very good biotechnology being implemented, we talk about even biofuels and algae, but all the advances in oceanographic research, and there'll be new ways to kind of restore the health of the ocean. So I guess the reefs are a very important part of that, and kind of the life of the ocean. Over the next number of decades, the scientists are going to get on top of that.
Okay, great. Will vaccines become mandatory in the United States in the next 10 years?
No, but they'll be highly recommended. I'll put it that way. So it'll be like of good thought, and being careful. They'll be highly recommended, but they won't be. No one will put a gun to your head and say you have to do it. So okay, I don't see that. No.
Do you see anything coming up for the next week?
Well, I see a lot of events around 45 and the hospital and what's happening there, and I think that Nancy Pelosi still has a bombshell she's going to release for us. There's going to be some more information. I think she'll come out publicly regarding the Trump situation. I do think there's going to be some talk regarding potential pardon. I think it's going to leak, so we're going to hear something, and yeah, and I think obviously there'll be more GOP coming out kind of that are not in favor of 45, and we'll see a little bit more of a rocky road for the confirmation of the Supreme Court justice. So, there'll be a lot of positioning still around how she might get confirmed, and I don't see it as a slam dunk.
He wants that judge to be confirmed now. Then
we'll sure he does, yeah. Right. But if a number of people in Congress have COVID-19, they're in isolation, they can't make it happen. So
So he knows he's going to lose then. People will be surprised that he said he's going to lose because he said it's fake. It's it's rigged. If he loses, it's rigged. So he won't be able to prove that.
Unfortunately, be a lot of smart people in our nation and in federal government that will help guide us through the process. So
right. Do you have any information your guides would like to share?
I do, and this is one that you exemplify a great deal, Linda.
Uh-oh.
So my guide said to me this week, kind of the watchword for this week is try to do one act of kindness for a person you don't know. So because that then propagates out. So a good example of that is I think I heard you say, or Linda was telling me, you took food to the firemen.
Yeah, I took a couple of cases of Togos and chips.
Yeah.
And cookies. Yeah.
So the message this week is try to execute an act of kindness for somebody you don't know this week, and then that will propagate out. So let's say we have 40 or 50,000 people that are watching this show. If they do it, that's another 50,000, and just keeps rolling out. So
right,
the world needs it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. That's great. Or give to the food bank, you guys.
Absolutely.
Awesome. It was one. Thank you for being so patient with this computer glitch.
Sure. That's all.
And my son, by the way, we celebrated my son's birthday this weekend because him and his girlfriend are going to Fort Bragg or something.
Okay.
Anyway, but the cool thing is that if Jacob had just left, if Jacob was still here, he would have figured this out. Thank God my other son, who normally sleeps till noon, he came out and said, "Mom, what's up?" And I said, "I can't get the camera. I'm ruined."
And you'll never work in show business again.
I'll never work in show business again. Well,
Exactly.
The thing is, too, I have a live event at 12:30. So
okay.
I was worried about that, too. So
there you go.
But,
and one quick footnote item. Anybody that wants to book a session, it's just sterlingpsychicmedium.com.
Right.
So all good.
Oh, thank you so much, Sterling.
All right. A lot of fun always.
Wonderful talking to you.